All right, let's talk about these 7 mental habits of high-level thinkers. We're about to unpack the internal operating system of people who just seem to win. And look, these aren't just little habits. This is the mental software that separates top performers from, well, everyone else. What if I told you that the gap between your current reality and your biggest goals? What if it isn't your bank account, or who you know, or even your raw talent? What if it's just a set of learnable mental habits? The best part? You can learn them. And today, we're basically handing you the blueprint. So let's get one thing straight. High-level thinkers, they aren't some special breed. They are built. They are architects of their own minds. And that whole construction process, it all starts right up here. This isn't about grinding harder. It's about a fundamental upgrade to your mental software. And this quote, man, this really gets to the core of it all. Your results rarely outgrow your thinking. Just let that sink in for a second. Your income, your impact, your opportunities, they're all just a reflection of your mental models. So when you upgrade your thinking, everything else starts to expand with it, your entire world. Okay, so let's dive into the mechanics of this, right? We're going to start with the foundational habits. I want you to think of these as the concrete and steel that support the entire structure of an elite mind. First up, habit number 1. And I'm going to be honest, this one's tough, but it is absolutely non-negotiable. It's practicing radical ownership. This is the commitment to take 100%, I mean 100%, responsibility for everything in your world. See, high-level thinkers get it. Blame keeps you small. Responsibility makes you powerful. And here's where you see the split, right? Average thinking is looking out the window asking, whose fault is this? The economy? But high-level thinking, that's looking in the mirror and asking, okay, what can I control here? Look, even if a situation isn't your fault, they know the outcome is their responsibility. The second you ask, what can I control? Bam, you just took your power back.
Okay, so once you've taken that full ownership, you start to realize something. Every single choice you make has consequences, and that forces you to start playing chess while honestly everyone else is still playing checkers. It's about seeing the entire chain of cause and effect, not just the very first link.
So what is second-order thinking? Well, first-order thinking is super easy. It's, I'll eat this donut because it tastes good. Simple. But second-order thinking, that digs deeper. It asks, and then what happens? Well, that donut, it leads to a sugar crash, which leads to a missed work session, which means a delayed goal. You see the dominoes? High-level thinkers are kind of obsessed with this chain reaction in every single decision. Now, thinking about consequences is huge. But what about questioning the problem itself? This next habit, number 3, first principles thinking. This is literally how entire industries get disrupted. It's the ability to reason from the ground up, to just dismantle a problem down to its most basic fundamental truths. See, most of us reason by analogy. We just go, well, this is how it's always been done. We copy what seems to work. But innovators, think Elon Musk, they don't do that. They ask, wait a minute, what is a rocket actually made of? By breaking it down to the raw materials, he figured out how to rebuild it for a tiny fraction of the cost. They don't just memorize the formula, they question the very foundations. All right, so with that foundation in place, let's move into part 2, the strategy. These are the habits that turn that powerful mindset into actual, real-world impact.
But you know what? Even the most logical, brilliant thinking can get totally derailed by one thing: emotion. Emotion is a powerful signal for sure, but it is a terrible CEO. High-level thinkers, they feel all the same stuff we do, but they just don't let feelings drive the big, critical decisions. They create this little space, a pause, between what happens and how they respond.
And that little pause makes all the difference. An average response is to just react based on pressure, but the high-level response, it's to pause and analyze the facts. They don't fire off that angry email. They don't sign the huge contract just because they're excited. They pause, they analyze. Why? Because they know one emotional decision can literally cost them years of progress. They respond. They don't just react. Hey, and speaking of making smart decisions, if you are getting value from this content, like, comment, subscribe to my channel, and share this content with someone. Let's build a whole community of high-level thinkers. All right, let's get back to it. Okay, so once you can manage your internal states, the next battlefield is managing your external focus. And let's be real, in a world that is designed for distraction, focus is a legit superpower. High-level thinkers get this. They know their attention is their most valuable asset and they guard it ruthlessly. They carve out time for that deep, concentrated work. And I love this quote. They treat their attention like a billion-dollar asset. Think about that. If it won't matter in 5 years, they don't give it 5 minutes of their focus. So powerful. They're not just scrolling through junk content. They're curating high-signal data. They pick timeless principles over whatever's trending today. In an age of information overload, they are strategically, and I mean strategically, selective.
No, focusing deeply is critical, for sure, but what you focus on, well, that's determined by your mindset. And this brings us to number 6, cultivate a possibility mindset. High-level thinkers don't ignore reality, not at all, but they refuse to be imprisoned by it. Where most of us see roadblocks and limitations, they just see design problems and opportunities. And it all comes down to the question you ask. The average question is, why can't this work? The high-level question is, okay, how can this work? That simple shift changes everything. And it's not blind optimism, It's disciplined creativity. It's just a flat-out refusal to let temporary conditions dictate permanent decisions. This mindset, this is the engine of innovation. Okay, so having a possibility mindset opens up the future, but how do you make sure you're actually on the right path? Well, you have to look back. And this brings us to our final habit, number 7, and it's kind of the one that ties it all together. Engage in strategic reflection. High performers don't just blindly charge forward. They regularly, intentionally pause to evaluate.
I mean, Aristotle said it thousands of years ago. The unexamined life is not worth living. And it's so true. Reflection, that's what turns experience into insight. Insight then turns into strategy. And strategy, that's what accelerates your growth. They literally schedule time just to think, to review what worked, what didn't, and what needs a little adjustment.
So let's bring this all home. This has been your mental upgrade. And look, these habits, they're not just some interesting list to know about. They are a call to action. They are choices you can start making literally today to architect a better way of moving through the world. So let's recap the 7 mental habits real quick. We've got radical ownership, second-order thinking, first principles thinking, emotional discipline, deep focus, a possibility mindset, and of course, strategic reflection. And please, remember this. These are not fixed traits. These are skills. It's a trainable, interconnected operating system for your mind. So I'm going to leave you with this thought. The real battlefield, it's not out there. It's right here in your mind. And listen, don't try to do all 7 of these at once. That's a recipe for failure. Just pick one. Seriously, just one. Master it. Then stack the next one on top. So I want you to drop a comment below. What's the one habit you'll start practicing today? Because when your thinking elevates, your whole life has to follow. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Don't forget to subscribe and follow this channel for more.